It's the Brad and John Show.
And it's the Brad and John Show for July 10th. This is the Charlie Block, the C Block, which means we start right around 7:40, and it's 7:48, John. We've blown this one this morning. Okay. I don't know if you saw this on the front page of the Post-Dispatch website, STL Today. Gateway Arch backers finalized deal to buy Millennium Hotel. Guess what they paid for the entire block? It's like a block of downtown St. Louis with the two towers and the reflecting pool and all that kind of stuff. Guess what they paid?
Oh, I don't know, $7.1 million?
7.5. Did you read the story already?
Okay, yeah, I didn't read the story. I did see the headline, though.
7.5 million. Okay,
it seems really cheap, don't you think?
John, the God Squad people, the Joy 99 people paid $8.75 million for a crummy radio station. How in the world do you pay $7.5 million for like a whole city block in downtown St. Louis? Imagine.
I mean, it says something about a city block in St. Louis, doesn't it?
Boy, doesn't it? I mean, especially when it's right across from Busch Stadium and it's right there next to Interstate 70. Well, actually, it's not even 70 anymore. You know, they screwed that thing up. To this day, do you know, God, I shouldn't go off on this being an ex-traffic reporter. It's so confusing now what they've done downtown. Do you know about this with the changing of the interstates?
Well, you mentioned it once, but is there anything new that's happened in the last 10 years or so? Or is this when you're coming from Illinois and it says exit here for 64, 40, 70, 172, 70, 44, 55?
No, it's still a mess. But what they did was if you go east on 70, when you went east on 70 and you went to the depressed section, as a matter of fact, I've tried to research this, and I've heard this years ago. The reason there is a depressed section, in other words, the lanes go below grade down there in downtown, and I remember being told by somebody from MoDOT years ago, the reason for that was that at the time when they built the Gateway Arch, there was a law that stated that a national monument could not be within so many feet of a visible interstate. So what they did was they sunk the lanes of 70 down into the ground there in the front of the arch, so that way you couldn't see the lanes of the traffic from the arch. Get what I'm saying? Okay.
I get it, yeah.
So it used to be if you were heading east on 70, you went into the depressed section. There was a ramp that took you from the depressed section onto the Poplar Street Bridge, and then that continued as eastbound 70 in Illinois. Okay? When they redid all the stuff down there and they took out that ramp from southbound Memorial Drive and they put in the stand span bridge, now when you go east on 70, this is what's so crazy about it is you're driving east on 70, and when you cross under the ramp that takes you onto the stand span, you're now going west on 44. So 1 minute you're going east, and the next minute you're going west, okay? Probably the most screwed up part of it is that it used to be that 44 ended at 55. That was the end of 44. When you're coming east on 44, once you hit that 55 merge down there, north.
That was the end of 44?
That was the end of 44. So now eastbound 44 continues into downtown St. Louis, goes through the depressed section, goes out into North City, and when you cross under the entrance ramp or exit ramp, whichever way you're looking at it, from the stand span, it magically turns into westbound 70. So in other words, if you're driving east on 44 and you're driving along, you're going east, and all of a sudden you go into downtown St. Louis and you're in the depressed section, you're actually headed north, you're going due north through the depressed section downtown, you're going east on 44, you go a mile further, and all of a sudden you're on westbound 70. Does that make sense?
It's a complete 180 in direction. Now, Brad, I think I interrupted you. You were making a point about the Post-Dispatch story.
Well, the Post-Dispatch, the thing to me is sad about this is that just what you said. How do you buy an entire city block in downtown St. Louis? Let's take this to a point where, let's say you were going to buy a city block in downtown New York, in Manhattan. What do you think you pay for a city block in Manhattan?
$1 billion.
Yes, exactly.
No exaggeration, probably $1 billion.
What would you pay for a city block like in downtown Washington, D.C., or insert downtown Miami, or downtown Philadelphia, or downtown, San Diego would be one. Can you imagine what you'd pay for a city block in downtown San Diego?
Yeah, incredible. And so isn't this a reflection, though, Brad, of if you bought a city block, I mean, you're not going to put retail in because nobody's going to shop there.
Right.
You're not going to put apartments in because no one wants to live downtown.
Right.
You don't want to put an office building down there because businesses are choosing to leave downtown instead of moving in. What are you going to do with the city block?
See, here's what's so sad. You and I have had this discussion how many times? We got rid of Tashara, and Tashara's like, I can't believe nobody liked me. I did all these good things for the city. I traveled all over the world and went to all these conventions and things like that.
Yes.
Why didn't anybody like me?
I even got my dad's road plowed by Spire.
Right.
You know?
Hey, we were doing Black Girl Magic, me and Kim and what was the other one? And Corey. We were doing that Black Girl Magic stuff. Okay, if Cara Spencer was smart, and I'm not saying she's not. I heard she's a very intelligent woman, as is Tashara Jones. Tashara Jones is a very intelligent woman. Why don't they see that what Steve Elman sees? And why is it so foreign that if you jump on westbound 70 from downtown St. Louis and you go west and you go into St. Charles County, why is it that, as a matter of fact, I found this picture the other day. I think I'm going to put it on my Facebook page. It's a picture of, and it's back in the 50s, it's a picture of the city limits. I think this was actually taken like in Kinloch or someplace like that because it looks like a business district. It's a city limits for the city of St. Louis. It says the speed limit's 30, and it shows the population of 856,000 people. Okay, it's now down to, what, 265, something like that? Okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Why wouldn't you say, once upon a time, the city of St. Louis used to be 856,000. If I go to St. Charles County, as a matter of fact, if I'm going to do that real quick, I'm going to give you an estimate. I'm going to say in St. Charles County, let's pick 90.
And Brad, while you look that up, I would assume that Cara Spencer looks at the situation and says, well, I want to follow a Steve Elman model, a good governance model of making people feel safe and having good schools. But it's not that easy, though, is it, Brad? I mean, you can't just say you want good schools and you want a safe environment without getting better teachers, better school district administrators, and getting more police.
Well, John, I'm not saying it's easy, but the crazy thing about it is, here's a look at demographics, okay? Okay, John, 1950, what do you think that was, you know what's interesting? That was the actual census that was the peak of the city of St. Louis.
856, you said, or 846?
Yeah, exactly. 856,796. 856,796. Okay, let me give you, 1930 was 821,000. 1940, 816. Went down a little bit. 1950, it grew to 856. In 1960, went down to 750,000. 1970, 622,000. 1980, 453,000. I'm rounding off. 1990, 396,000. 2010, 319,000. 2020, 301,000. And now they're estimating the 2024 estimate, I wasn't too far off, was 279,000. Okay, why wouldn't you come in as mayor, Cara Spencer, and says, you know what? I looked at the Brad Hildebrand. I listened to the BJ show the other morning, and Brad Hildebrand gave me a come to Jesus moment when he said, hey, Cara, in 1950, the population of the city was 856,000. Now it's down to 279. And I thought to myself, okay, what's wrong? First off, crime. Second off, our schools suck. We've got still, what, $250 million of Rams money left over? Isn't that still like 250,000, 250 million or something like that?
A lot of money.
We are going to go around the country. Me personally, I'm going to spend one day a week on the road, and I'm going to go to the cities. I'm going to find the cities and the counties that have the best police department, and I'm going to go talk to those officers and say, hey, come to St. Louis. We'll give you a $50,000 signing bonus. Yeah, $50,000 signing bonus. We'll give you nice uniforms. We'll give you a nice rate of pay. We'll give you a nice, one of those new Sig Sauer P320s. We won't give you one of those old Beretta 92s like our city cops are carrying right now. We'll give you nice firearms. We'll give you nice training. We just want you to be a great police officer. We want you to clean up the city. We're going to double the police force. We're going to go from 800 to 1,600. Heck, we might go to 2,000 because we're going to really, 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 get things straightened out. Then she should spend another day a week going to the best school districts and literally walking into the principal's office and says, tell me who your top 10 teachers are. And, well, I don't want to tell me who they are. And then she walk down the hall. Knock, knock, knock. Hi, I'm Cara Spencer. I'm the mayor of the city of St. Louis. I understand you're one of the best school teachers. We'd love to have you in the city of St. Louis. We want great teachers. We want to kick butt when it comes to education. We want to transform the city of St. Louis from not so good or maybe terrible right now to the best city in the country. Are you with me, ma'am or sir? Get what I'm saying, John?
Yeah, so you're saying spend city resources to get more cops and get better teachers.
Yes!
I would assume, Brad, and this is an assumption because I don't follow city politics closely. I know Cara Spencer, at least from what I read, is on board with paying officers more to recruit better officers. I don't know where she is on education, but those are two things to start with, right?
John,
and then I also think that the expectations can't be that population will increase in 2026 or even 2027. I mean, I think it's gonna take time. You're not gonna turn that ship around right away.
But John, one thing. Let's look at Donald Trump, okay? Remember, we had this porous border where, remember, who was that? I get his name wrong. Maracas Candy wasn't his name? Maracas?
Mayorkas. Yeah.
Mayorkas.
Or Maracas Candy.
Right. Okay. You remember Maracas Candy used to be here in St. Louis? Does that name ring a bell?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, it was a big candy company. Okay. He said, the border is secure. There's nobody getting in. Then we flash over to Bill Melugin on Fox, and his hair is being blown in the air by all the immigrants who are running by him coming across the border. And then we go back to the scene where Mavracos is in front of the congressional hearing. The border is secure. No one's coming across the border. And we go back to Bill Melugin, and it's like a freeway around him where there's like 6 lanes of bodies passing him coming across the border. Okay? Remember, they said, the Biden administration said, well, we need legislation. We can't do anything without legislation. We need congressional hearings. We need new immigration legislation. And all of a sudden, on day one, Donald Trump comes in and says, okay, enough's enough, signs a bunch of executive orders, and the border is like shut down, okay? He did it like in a week, remember?
That's true. That's true. And you know what? He moved expeditiously, and he moved with great authority. And if Cara Spencer did something the same, first of all, I think a lot of Democrats would oppose her. But who's to say that she couldn't move with that same lightning speed? Bro?
I'm saying she should, and she's blown her chance. She's blown her chance. And the perfect example we talked about yesterday, the day before, the problems on Metrolink. Okay, finally they put in turnstiles and make it to the point where the S-birds can't just jump onto the plane, onto the trains and create havoc and jump back off and have a great time. No, they made it now. Are there still S-birds getting on to Metrolink? Yeah, probably so. They're probably climbing the fence or something like that. But it's been drastically decreased. Okay, why can't people do things like that? Why is it to the point where our government is like, well, we're thinking about it, and we're have a meeting a week from tomorrow to think about it some more.
Well, logistically, Brad, I think if Cara Spencer went in and said, hey, we're going to spend Rams money on this, the Board of Aldermen would have a fit and say that's our money and we need it for our projects, and how dare you touch this money that we're not doing anything with.
And you know what she should do? She'd look at all those board members and she'd go, you ever heard of this Donald Trump guy? And they go, yeah.
Yeah, and they'd say, yeah, she's a Trumper now.
No, then she'd go, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, you're fired, right?
And it would be like Apprentice 3.0. Brad, I'd love to stay in chat, but thanks to your talk yesterday about how Mary Lou Retton should call you if she's in trouble, I just texted Dominique Moceanu, and I said if she ever needs a ride, to text me. And then I also said if she needs a ride in a car, to text me too.
Bye, John.